Well, this brings us really neatly on to the next topic, actually, because we had loads of questions on pollution, plastics, and, as we've been discussing, carbon dioxide, CO2. Well, now let's hear from Liz on this topic.
If we continue polluting the earth and making temperatures rise, how long do we have until all the icebergs in the world melt?
Well, thanks, Liz. It's a question that I think many people ask when they look at the polar regions and hear that the polar ice is melting. So, Emily, what do we know about the question Liz asked? How long have we got until all the icebergs melt?
So thanks, Liz. That's a really great question. So there's two different types of ice that we need to worry about. The first is what we call sea ice. That's when the sea literally freezes. And in the polar regions, that happens each year. What we're seeing is that sea ice is melting really significantly at the moment. So in the Arctic Ocean, over the last 30 years or so, the amount of sea ice in the Arctic has decreased really dramatically. It always melts each summer, but not all the way. And the amount of ice at the end of the summer melt season today is just half of what it was about 30 years ago. And if we continue to warm the world in the way we are at the moment, then it may be gone entirely at the end of each summer in just the next couple of decades. The other ice that you have in the polar regions sits on the land and forms the ice sheets, and then as it goes into the sea, the ice shelves. And that ice is also melting. And that ice is melting two ways. First of all, it's melting on top because the warmer air on top is melting it. But also what's happening is that as the oceans are warming up, that warmer ocean water is getting underneath those ice sheets and melting them from below. So they're getting double attacked by the warming. That process happens quite slowly. So it's not something that those ice sheets going to completely disappear over the next few years. But what we're really concerned about is that the processes that are starting the destruction of those ice sheets are happening now. And when that ice that sat on land eventually collapses and melts, it gets into the water of the oceans, and that's significantly rising the sea levels.
Lindsay, it sounds very complicated. There's the sea ice and the ice on the land and the sea temperatures and the land temperatures and the air temperatures. And then a question that just keeps coming up, which is that, is there a simple solution to this complicated problem, which might be just plant more trees and we'll be okay?
Yes, well, I think you're absolutely right. It's very complicated, and very complicated things don't generally have very simple solutions. And I think the truth is there isn't a single simple solution. And in fact, lots of scientists keep saying that we need to do lots of different things all at the same time, because this is a very big problem. But planting trees is one of the things that we can do. So we have cut down a lot of trees all around the world. Britain, for example, here in the UK, we would have had a lot more trees than we do now. And so there are a lot of plans now to plant a lot more trees, and that will help. So as trees grow, they draw carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. And remember, it's the fact that there's too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere that's one of the main causes of global warming. So as trees grow, they will lock it up, and they will lock it up in their trunks and in the wood. And so that will take, over the next 100 or 200 years, if we plant a lot of trees now, then we will be able to suck quite a lot of carbon dioxide out of our atmosphere. But it's not the only thing we have to do. We also have to concentrate on not continuing to put carbon dioxide into the atmosphere in the first place. And I think perhaps Mark can say something about that.
Yes, I'm happy to comment on that. As Lindsay said, the other side of the coin, if you like, is that we could also do a lot to reduce our energy consumption, or at least be more efficient with the energy that we're producing. Because it's through producing a lot of, or at least using a lot of energy, that this CO2 is created. If we were to ask, why are we burning so much fossil fuels, This is often to fuel things like power stations and so on, to create electricity, which we use for all sorts of things, including probably your games consoles and other things as well. So we've got to think more broadly about how what we can do. We can do our bit individually, if you like, to reduce the amount of energy that we consume. And I think that, along with planting more trees and other solutions, will help to get us closer to solving this world issue.
So it's a balance, Emily, I think, is what we're hearing, that we have to put less carbon dioxide into the atmosphere and take more out at the same time would be the ideal thing to do.
Yes, Brian, you're absolutely right. And the way that I like to think about this is that it's like a bath. And on the one hand, you have the tap in the bath that could be putting more water into the bath. And the other hand, you have the plug where water can be coming out of it. And so what we need to do is make sure that the amount of carbon dioxide that we're taking out of the atmosphere, whether that's through planting trees or other methods, is as much as we're putting in from the tap